Hi, my name is Roger Fojas, and I am a quirky performer, clown, and dancer, and a choreographer.
How have you come to master your craft?
I had a long direction in how I mastered my craft. I didn't realize that this was going to be my craft in the beginning. Uh, in college, I joined a bunch of dance companies and did a bunch of things in that direction, and then moved to Los Angeles to explore acting. Eventually, uh, I eventually joined a circus group that became a professional circus group. We became. Let me repeat that. I eventually joined a circus company called Lucent Dossier. In the early stages, we got involved with a band called Panic at the Disco and went on tour with that band. We did the music video that became like the best music video from the 2005, and then it took off, and that's when I started really exploring the vaudeville arts and circus. And at first during that time I wasn't really, I was just doing it for fun, but then all of a sudden it became serious and real. So the whole circus world opened up in my world, and I became exploring what circus and circus dance and clowning and that whole direction meant to me. So that all of a sudden became a profession for me. So my direction is within that clowning and circus, and I have a history within the whole modern, quirky, performing art world as well. So I incorporate all that.
Why have you come to express and articulate your movements in the way that you do? In your case, your choreography.
When I was growing up, I wanted to dance, but never knew I was a dancer because I always thought dancers had to have a very specific type of structure. And so me and my style of this style that I thought was a little quirky or a little offbeat, didn't realize that that could be honed into a craft, into a style. Knowing now that this quirky style could be considered a style, like hip hop dance has a quirky style to it, so I could have honed that into like a quirky hip hop, or modern dance. Also, if I honed it into a very specific style, could have been a quirky modern dance. I could have been in a modern dance company. I took it into clowning and vaudeville, so that works within that direction. But I could have easily, because I have a modern lyrical background as well, so I could have easily taken it to that direction. But I started dance late. I started it in college, in late college, and didn't dance when I was like younger, where a lot of people danced younger. And so I didn't think of myself as a dancer. So how I process dance now is that I work with people who are dancers and not dancers, or don't consider themselves dancers, and I create pieces that work within both. And I find the value of dance in all levels, whether they are really high level in dance and whether they are just exploring dance. And so I find the magic in finding energy and movement in that. And that has helped me from me learning it from my quirky values and quirky ways. And I also think that the way I move, and I have a certain type of way of moving, and when someone sees the way I move and they are really inspired by my movement, I've actually had people come to me and ask me where they could learn to dance like me, and I would give them dancers' names, and they're like, no, I don't want to go to a school like that. I want to dance like you. And so to hear that kind of thing, and to hear like someone who didn't necessarily have that type of training to be a Baryshnikov or something like that, and they want to learn how to be an individual, how to be someone like me, then that really inspires me, because it's inspiring to be pure at what you do.
How do you prepare to research choreography?
When I prepare to research choreography, it often depends on the direction of where I plan to take the choreography. So I obviously have to sort of meditate on it. I play a lot of music that kind of is in the direction of where I want to take it, and then I sort of often would close my eyes and just play. The way contact improv dancers just connect with each other and play. It's sort of, I kind of just let my mind close my eyes and play. Um, um, it's something that's really cathartic to express yourself in that form. Um, until when you're doing that, there are movements and moments that happen that you didn't even realize you have in your body sometimes, that you're like, whoa, that's something that really says something that fits with the sound or whatever. And when you find that, it's like a golden message kind of, and you kind of like, that starts to form as part of what you want to do. And 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 that's the inspiration that you start to take. You start to take those messages and you start to put them together to create what you want for your piece.
Can you give an example of finding that? I guess it's kind of hard to do, but in the past, an example of how you found a feeling, like how you went through that exploration to hone in on that. Like, what is that about? Just kind of describe that.
Like the one I mentioned before, is that, or something else? Like an example of creating a piece would be like when I was working on a piece specifically for a vaudeville number. We were working on a piece, and we were working with the idea of hobos, and the idea of hobos that were alcoholic and they needed to get out of that direction. So we played with using an Amy Winehouse song, the Rehab song. So in order to work with those ideas, we had to figure out how to listen to that song and create one, because it's a clown piece, but the song is lighthearted, but it's also, the words in the song is really deep and dark. How does the emotion of where these characters that we have to take within ourselves, how does that happen? How do these people who are drinking and joyous and happy, because the music is drinking and joyous and happy, the sound of the music is drinking and joyous and happy, but there's some levels that are deeper that takes you here. And if you think of homelessness of hobos, they're here. So this is part of the starting of a choreography. So it takes you here, but then there's this bubbliness about that, and then there's this releasing that happens, because if you drink so much, it makes you want to like release something from within because you've been drinking so much. So there's that weird offbeat dark comedy about that you makes you want to go and just take it all out, and you just want to get all of that all that stuff out, all that stuff you want to get out of your system, and you want to clean yourself. And so that's the starting process of this hobo piece that we were creating. And so that was a direction of what are we doing here? And as we're two clowns that are looking at each other, and as we're looking at each other, it's almost like we're looking at ourselves, two alcoholics looking at each other in the mirror, trying to figure out how do we clean ourselves from what we were doing all these years. And so that was a journey from just being a clown piece. It's just a silly clown piece, but it becomes a very serious piece on humanity. And so there's a journey there, and it's a journey from the heart, even though and the soul, even though it's just a clown piece.
want to get what was it that you asked me before that got me?
What was the thing?
Yeah, you asked a question that kind of like spun my question in a way because you know me better. Yeah.
What is it that you're trying to get out of the moment?
Without letting him know. I'm trying to like the exploration part.
Because you want to know more about the process to getting where it is, or the preparation part getting to where it is, and
but like once you find
what you're looking for, how to quantify when you're going in the right direction.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay, then like let's talk to me about that too. You know.
Okay.
Can you talk about? I know you talked about it a little bit before about.
I'm gonna look at you while he's asking me.
About how like when you're connecting with the dancer, how like you know the dancers know you're on the same page, almost like lovers connecting to each other. Go into that talk a little bit, and can you proceed it by saying the words, you know you're going in the right direction when, and then finish that sentence. And then keep on elaborating on that as much as you can.
It's hard to go back there and to really feel it, but okay, I'll try. When you're creating when you're in the process of creating a piece and you're with the other performers that you're working with, you know that you are getting to that place of knowing where it is, instead of just kind of just the workshopping and just going into those places. When you're working on that piece, and then all of a sudden there's this moment that happens where it just feels completely right. The thing that you have that you've had in your soul and your heart of what you wanted fits right into how your body says it is. And when your body says this is what you were trying to say, and when the other people that you have choreographed with or interacted with locks into that feeling, and you could even see in the eyes of the other people that they get it too. There's just that magical this is the right moment, and we all kind of get that moment. Most people in theater or most people in dance usually can tell when the magic is strong, the energy is strong. It's like the golden moment, and it doesn't happen. Sometimes it's not as like this is the specific moment, but there is those times when you can feel it. You can feel like there is something really strong in this piece, and I found it.
And because you've done this before, you're familiar with looking for these certain signs and feelings. How do you go about finding that feeling?
We want to basically quantify it.
To get to that place, a lot of times, I mean, for if you're creating a piece, it takes workshopping the piece, it takes running the piece again to tweak things until you feel it. Because sometimes you run it and you think this is it, and it's not it, and then you realize sometimes there's just something that's not locked in, and sometimes the locking in is just by putting the right people in the right place and feeling it in the right place. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to rehearse it, but it does mean you can't just have an idea and just blurt it out like that. You can do it that way, and sometimes magically something can happen. But if you're creating a piece specifically for creating a piece to do again and again and again, you have to start to develop it, and you start to have to create it again and again in a rehearsal process until you see what works with each other. And then when that starts to work, and when you see that it works again, you know that you've created a piece that works.
That process of looking and repeating and knowing, like finding out by practice, basically. Why do you do it?
I do the practice of doing it again and again, because if you're just constantly doing it as an improvisational form, which is a form, you tend to not hone in on a specific direction of. Well, there's two forms of things. There's the organic way of putting something out and just letting something magically happen, which is a form that is less about a stage production. If you're trying to create a stage production, then when you are performing in one event, in another event, and someone sees that event and recommends someone else to see that same production, they want to see the same thing. And if they come back and sees the event and it looks completely different, they're not seeing the same thing. So you want to show pretty much a similar or the same kind of piece again in choreography. Otherwise, you're showing something different and you're kind of shortchanging what you had to create and offer to the next audience, or you're either that, or you're creating something completely different for your next audience. You're creating a different piece. So it's like creating a painting. You're showing the same painting in a different gallery, but if you're doing it as an improv, you're basically making a painting for one gallery, and then you're taking that painting, spreading different paint on it and doing it at a different gallery. So if you want to show the same painting, you have to do it as a choreographed piece. Otherwise, you're just changing the painting and showing it in a different gallery. If that makes any sense.
It's kind of my own question, but when you perform a certain movement, there's like different ways to perform the same one, right? Some don't carry the same energy and feeling as, but it could be this very similar movement. Is there any relationship between what I'm talking about, and your research process?
Yes, there's definitely ways of doing a similar movement and doing it completely different, because people are different for one. So if you have different people, they do that movement, it looks very different. Plus, if you're applying a different emotion to that movement, it's going to be very, very different. If you're doing a move like this, but you're angry, this is going to be a very intense movement. But if you're doing it where it's more about love, this is a very softer movement. And there's also the different kinds of pace, or timing and pace changes the movement too. So movement, even if it's the same movement, can be done so many different ways. So when you do a movement in a lot of different ways, the reason why choreographers rehearse and do different things and do it over and over again is to create their movement, and to create it in very specific paces and ways and directions, to teach whether it's one dancer or teach another dancer to do that same choreography in that same style and pace and way, so that it's done the way it was initially thought of in the person's choreography.
So now, would you want to demo how you prepare research for it? I mean, it's kind of hard for me to theme to develop it from.
We could sort of emotion stuff.
You can just feel like your own way of improvising in general.
Yeah,
And you can work with me if you need to.
yeah, I can work with Nick.
I think we could almost do like we could do a piece that we've developed a little bit and we can practice it because we haven't practiced those pieces, so why not have them?
I think it's better if it's more like an emotional, organic one.
Okay. Like a belonging-ish thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm down.
I seriously don't have, it's very good to do much.
Do you need? If you need light, we can work on the corner. Like we could use weird corner.
Oh, okay.